Hello everyone, Merge Gupta-Sunderji here with another Merge Management Moment. In my last strategy on leading hybrid and virtual teams, I started explaining how to conduct a kickoff meeting to get your team's buy-in to your desired workplace culture. I told you about how to conduct the first part of your meeting, which was to create a word cloud as part of a visioning exercise. I promised then that I would tell you in the next video how to conduct the second part of your meeting, the process you and your team can jointly use to develop your team's norms and standards. So here I am. Now remember, at this point, you should have a word cloud that your team created. So make sure that everyone has a copy of that as you get into part 2. This should guide you as you collectively develop your team norms. Team norms are basically relationship guidelines, an agreed to code of conduct as to how team members behave and act with one another. Over time, team members develop particular ways of interacting with each other until those habits become behavioral expectations. Whether you were consciously aware or not, you had norms before you switched to a virtual or hybrid team. But now they are particularly important because not everyone is in the same place. People don't have those visual or behavior cues to tell them how they should get things done and how to relate to one another, which is why this is part 2 of your kickoff meeting, and it's so important. I'm going to give you 5 steps to create these team norms. Now, this is the process I follow, and I use it because it's very effective. But if you have an alternate approach that you prefer to use, please do. It's more important that this get done than how it gets done. Step 1, create a shared Word document in Google Docs with 5 categories. Number 1, values. Number 2, interactions with one another. Number 3, decisions. Number 4, conflict. And number 5, logistics. If you prefer to use another collaborative platform other than Google Docs that lets everyone update in real time, please go ahead. That just happens to be the one I use. Number 2, on your list, ask each person to reflect on and record behaviors that they consider ideal behaviors for the group, and then type them into the most appropriate of those 5 categories. Now, this may get a little crazy with everyone working on the document at the same time, but just have some fun with it. If someone has already typed in what you wanted to say, put a +1 beside it. If you're wondering how this might work, let me give you some ideas, because this is usually the hardest one for people to grasp. So under the category of values, people could put things like being bold isn't bad, or share the work equals share the credit, or notice when someone needs help and offer to help, or keep it simple, or communicate openly even when it's not comfortable. These are just values, and it can be whatever people think they need to put up there that are ideal behaviors for the group. What about category number 2, interactions with one another? Here's some possibilities. Raise the issue with the person involved rather than with someone else. Respond to emails within 1 day. Celebrate successes. Again, I hope you're seeing how completely varied these are. The third category, what could be some entries under the decisions category? Here's some examples. At least 2 people must agree on a decision, or we will make a decision once everyone has had an opportunity to be heard, or data rules over gut instinct. Again, it can be anything. It's just what your team members think needs to go into that category. Under the conflict category, here's some ideas of things you could have. Focus on tasks, not people, or use mistakes as a learning opportunity. Possible logistic norms might be everyone's available during core hours, or be mentally present in team meetings. Here's what I want you to remember. It's not as important that it gets in the right category, because many items will fall into more than one category. It's more important that you get it down somewhere on the document, because that's what will spark step number 3 in this discussion. Now, give step number 2 at least 5 minutes. Often it actually takes more. Now, step 3, go through the Word document as a large team and have one of your team members take on the role of updating the document as you go. Your task in this 3rd step is to read off each item, see if it can be combined or collapsed into something that has already come up, and then agree as a group whether this should be adopted as a team norm. You could ask for a thumbs up or a thumbs down to indicate support, or find another way for each team member to indicate to the team his or her willingness to abide by these ground rules. This step usually takes the longest, at least 30 minutes, often more. Step number 4, discuss how the team will maintain these norms. And then finally, step number 5, ask your document updater to title the document Team Norms and make sure that all team members get an individual copy. Like the cloud visioning exercise I gave you in strategy number 2, this team norms process may seem complicated. It's not. But perhaps more importantly, it's incredibly valuable if you want your virtual and hybrid teams to be more successful. This is Merge Gupta-Sunderji with Emerge Management Moment.